Hi, this is Keith Clark from iDigital Medium. Good morning. This is a recap video of what has occurred over the last 9 days. We've been doing recap videos, however, it's becoming more challenging to keep up that pace as we go. So let's go ahead and jump directly into some audio clips from this past week, and then I'll give an explanation of how the stream has changed and why. Let's proceed. Okay. October 19th, 18th. This is unusual because we started to hear something that sounded like a fax machine. Well, that didn't work. Okay. Playback. Pretty interesting, right? Well, that was curious, of course, to hear that. Let's play it again. If any of you remember what modems are, you would agree that that sounds pretty much like the handshake activity that occurs on an old modem. Also, on October 18th or so, we started to recognize that our ceiling fans were causing white noise bursts in the radio. And when that occurred, it was people in spirit were attempting to impress their images upon those white noise bursts. The next day, I tried to repeat that. It wasn't so easy. Then I came, well, we'll get into that in a second. I came to find out that the internet traffic is affecting our radio, and I'll explain what that means. The reason this clip is played is because right here you will hear them say a lot of people. Actually, it sounds right now more like, are other people connected? One more time. All right, let's close that one out. On to the next clip. I began to discover that the source of the noise on our experiment radio, which is in the attic, was, as of that date, you guys ever heard of the power adapters where you plug it into your wall outlet here and here because you can't run a network cable to a certain computer? And so it sends the internet through your power lines in your house. Well, I have that here. And we began to determine that the internet has the ability to cause increases and decreases in volume and the amount of noise on our radio. Here's an example. I don't think I have a good interpretation of what I believe that sounds similar to. This one sounds similar to, I already came to help you. That's what I hear it as. As stated before, this is a development project, so it's not evidential. So since it's not that clear, that phrase could actually be many more different things than what I just said it probably is. So remembering, we're focused on development, not on This is not proof of anything other than somebody is working with us, speaking to the radio. This phrase was recorded yesterday, October 24th, and it's interpreted or heard as being similar to, "This is an accident." But it may also not be that exact same phrase. The syllables could be heard differently. I find it to be a good practice to not clip the audio to where the only thing in the clip is the actual part that you are referencing. I prefer to have items in the front and the tail end so you can see it's actually in context. Any sentence taken out of context or phrase taken out of context can be interpreted differently, so we try to provide some extra room. And that one could be heard differently also. It's perfectly understandable. Now, here's what happened. Once I began to understand that the network was being affected, the radio was being affected by the internet, I began to realize that anytime I downloaded anything or uploaded anything, or I was connected remotely, or the fans were on, etc., all of this was having an effect on the radio, which was crazy. It was a nightmare. But I decided to play with it. I said, okay, does that mean I can induce white noise? And if so, will that provide good white noise to come through on our experiment radio that they could use to communicate? Right? There's always two sides to everything. Not everything is a disadvantage. Just because there's additional noise on the radio, as long as it's not broadcast radio, I'm not too concerned with what the source is. I don't care if it comes from, two crickets rubbing together. As long as it's not mistaken and can be verified that it's not human voice from another source, doesn't matter to us, because in the end, the only thing that matters for validation is going to be the information that comes through. It doesn't matter. The technical setup does not matter, doesn't mean a thing to anybody until you validate it with information that only an individual would know, and that's going to take science and people. So we changed the radio stream up on Friday to Spiricom version, and what that means is I call it a hybrid. It means we have created static and tones and mixed them together and transmitted them over the Spiricom, over the radio. Instead of 12, 13 tones, we're using 3. That agitates the white noise, and the end result being our current stream, which sounds like this. This is live. Notice we can hear 3 different things, or it sounds like 3 different things. We've got a couple of tones with the voice, and then you've got a whispery voice like this. That's the white noise. And then when you get all these things combined, it starts to sound closer to a voice that we would recognize. And there are additional people that are beginning to understand small portions of it. But again, it's a development project. Development. I'm going to show you something really cool. I actually did a video of it, but I lost it during transferring it from one computer to the other. I can induce white noise on any radio now, unless in the current house conditions, because my entire house is a freaking antenna. My entire house has electricity running through it, and I'm using these TP Powerline adapter because I have a room where I can't get down the outside wall because it's concrete. It's a cinder block. I might revisit that in the future. However, right now, we're exploiting it. We changed from the radio in the attic. It was too strong. It was such an annoyance that my mind was going in so many different directions. I didn't know what. You couldn't control it. So I needed to eliminate some of the variables, and that's why we switched to the Spiritcom version that's up now. Check this out. We're going to do a network test, which is going to pass data from the computer in front of you to the computer that I'm on right now, and check out the sound in the radio, how it changes. Let's go ahead and readjust the filters. Okay, I'm going to stop the test. Watch the change in sound. Now it's quieter again. Now that's not a dramatic version. Put the filter back where it was. For everybody listening. Close this out. Okay, so what that means is a lot of people would say, oh no, we have electromagnetic interference on the radios. It's a horrible thing. It depends on how you look at it. It can be a horrible thing, but can also be used as a tool to do something cool. Can it be used to create energy? Can you control the energy burst? Can you control the energy burst for the pictures? And so one of the things that we're working on, eventually there will be no radios. Radios are unstable. Right now it's the most pure form of potential influence. Now remember, our original experiment radio was receiving at 25.5 megahertz. That one's currently off. It's in the attic. Well, it's not off, it's unplugged. Right now we're doing a Spiritcom transceive experiment. I'm calling it hybrid. So remember, I'm sending the tones and noise. So I created that at the beginning. It goes through the radio, it comes through another radio, and that's where they influence it. So you've got them speaking on the tone that I've already created, and you have white noise burst upon occasion of them influencing the radio. So just because it's artificially induced does not mean it's not a voice. And I can assure you that that will be demonstrated and proven later on. Let's see. That is it for today. Just want to say that for those of you who have been asking, how can you help? You can just help by joining your positive thoughts and energy towards what we're doing. I know it's complicated, a little complex. I know it keeps changing all the time, and it might be confusing to some people. We're going to try to make it a little more straightforward so that people can understand. All you need to do is contribute your positive energy. You can meditate on your own. You can join the stream and attempt to do an experiment. All we need is energy. You are energy. The stream is energy. People in spirit are energy. That's all we need. We don't need magic spells. We don't need, it simply comes from believing that it's possible. And that's what we're trying to demonstrate here. Later on, we'll worry about the science and people that validate it, etc. For now, we're going to focus on positive people who want to come together to make a difference. This is Keith Clark from My Digital Medium. Have a good day.